The social media advertising is just dropping those hints at you every day to let you know, like, when the time comes that you need it, you'll call us. And that's what we want to do here. We want to take you to the next level. We want you to achieve your goals.
We'll kick it off.
Right. So don't forget, ask questions. We got Angie behind the boards. Is it the ones and twos? Kinda, not the video and the audio, so the ones and twos.
Sure. Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
We got Angie behind the ones and twos. And so ask questions because, we're going to be talking about marketing, advertising, the difference, like Whitley was saying. And a lot of we were making fun of each other before because we always interchange the two. We're always like, oh, well, we have to do the advertising. We don't have to do the marketing. And it's always like, well, it's the same thing. Well, it's really not. Yeah, you sit there and go, well, maybe your whole marketing plan involves advertising, maybe. But, marketing and advertising are actually two different things. The quickest, most black and white difference is marketing is all the things you do to get your name out there. Advertising is all the things you do to get your name out there with money. That's pretty much what I think it is. It's just like, all right, you want to get out there quick, throw money behind it. There's your advertising budget. And you think about like radio, TV, Facebook advertising, Google AdWords. It all involves money. Where marketing involves creativity and being unique and using all the channels at your disposal to get the word out about your brand or whatever you're trying to sell. So that's pretty much it, like simple, dirty version of what it is.
Yeah, I think like when we're looking at some like hard differences, just even what we see, it's kind of like seeing a commercial, but then having a company use like an influencer for like the marketing aspect to keep getting their name out, the product. They've found their brand, right? So I've already talked about the brand, and that's like who you are, your mission, what you guys are wanting to accomplish, and then using it then to go into your marketing strategy. So how you now have a need that you're filling, how are you getting that product or service out to people? We were talking about how in the olden days that was like posters, newspaper ads,
the
olden days.
The old days.
Yeah.
Well, it's like flyers.
Yeah, like flyers and posters,
flyers.
things like that. Brochures you leave somewhere. Now and like face-to-face interaction, talking to people about it. And now a lot of it's kind of honestly just all like social media. I feel like a lot of what you're doing in today's small businesses when you're trying to get your word out is all this Facebook. And we talked about the importance of still using Facebook as a business owner. Also like Instagram, now TikTok is doing more business stuff. So definitely just cultivating good, valuable like content for your consumer is like the main idea with marketing on social media. You really want to like ask yourself a few questions about the kind of market you guys are in, what kind of content would benefit your target market or your target person, and then also really trying to stand out, like you said, like what can you do that your competitors aren't in a different way. Because there's a lot that you have to refurbish or rework, but how can you do that with your own twist?
Right. And it's super important. We had a great conversation last night about marketing. Whitley and I went over all the social media that's been happening for about the past 2 months, and it was very informative. I mean, I even went home last night and was talking to Jill, and I was like, I had Whitley get all these reports together, like a boss should do or whatever you want to call it. I'm like, hey, Whitley, get me some reports on the social media for the past 2 months. But it was so telling. Like we sat there and we're like, whoa, now I know why people do reports. He was so great. So that's very important. And market research is huge. So like what we did was, Whitley came on board. I'm like, okay, Whitley, here's the keys to the social media. Go. And that's what she did. She's like, we tried this and we're trying that and we're trying all kinds of things. But 60 days in, that's like our market research per se. Because now we looked at it last night and we're like, okay, so people like it when we do this and people like it when we do that. And maybe different times, or really last night was about content and what got the most, action. And we figured that out last night, which was really awesome. So we are doing the market research and taking a look at what people really want to get into, and now I guess our next step would be profiling those target markets, and all those great things. But this is something you do have to keep in mind. Doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to have patience, man. Like, don't think you're gonna figure out who your target market is in a day. It's not gonna happen, and that's the number one thing I tend to see that's happening nowadays. Is there's no patience at all,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just gonna kill you, man. And I just can't reiterate that enough. Again, I'll use them as an example to the day I die. But Core Health, we've been working with them for 4 years. And they literally gave me their keys to their business. And they were like, yo, man, we trust you. Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there was times where there was nothing going on. And it was very stale. Or it was like, what are we doing? Or what's going on? Whatever the case is. Now, I rarely hear anything from them. Not because they're not involved, but because, you know, we're doing our own things. But they're rocking and rolling. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing about marketing that you have to keep in mind too, no matter how big you eventually get, because I know everybody watching this podcast will be millionaires, right? But no matter how great you get, even the biggest companies still keep their marketing going, you know, because they know that part of being successful and getting your marketing to where it has to be is keeping it up with it. Like, you always have to keep it going, be consistent, all those great things.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like we have here, Whitley has taken the time to come up with these great points that we always read on our little sheets every week. But I guess, you know, instead of boring you guys to death about what's marketing, Fred, and what's advertising, let's get into a little bit about the marketing, because this is a marketing podcast, you know, if you're looking for tips and stuff like that. So,
I mean, before you go any further, this is a lot of information for my little peanut brain. So can you just make a quick simplified version of what is marketing and what is advertising? How are they different? Just quick. Yeah, just a really generalized version so I can understand what's going on.
Marketing is getting your name out there to the masses. Advertising is getting your name out there to the masses with money. That's it. Two things.
Okay, word.
That's exactly what it is. Marketing is where you're forced to get super creative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why we're here today to give you 3 ways to start that right now. You know, so Whitley, why don't you take it away? What are the 3 ways our peeps can get started today?
Okay, so one of the biggest things, like I already said, is socialize on social media. So you want to, again, creating this relationship is allowing your brand to get recognition through the way you're marketing. So, you know, putting out your content, engagement on a daily basis, adding value to your consumers base. So one of the things that I started to really implement is a concept called Hero Hub Help Content. And brands like Nike uses this branding or this marketing and content creating technique, which is really, really simple. So the biggest thing is help content is a lot of like your tutorials, things that your audience is actually looking for. Or like if you would put into YouTube or Google how to do what, or anything it is about your specific industry or topics. Those are the kinds of content that you can create on a weekly basis to kind of give them something to add to their kind of arsenal. Then you have Hub, which is kind of like the reason why they come back. So like having live podcasts, there's weekly engagement and weekly content that they can glean from you. And that's kind of like the Hub. So that's a lot. That's your like evergreen content, which is like daily stuff. And then you have your Hero, which is very specific, very niched, and you might only post about it like once a month, maybe once every 2 months, and it's kind of very specific and unique, and maybe take a lot more time on that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, the third would be adding some contests or giveaways with collaborations with another person in your niche. That will just, again, like create engagement, people excitement around your brand, and you can do those things that are super easy starting today.
Right on. Starting today. Shout out Benchwarmers. Branding. Yeah, those are 3 great ways to get your marketing started today. And the best thing about marketing is, you know, technically you don't have to hire like a crazy agency to do this for you. Of course, it's nice to, if you can, hire somebody that can get you going maybe a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But marketing is essentially free nowadays. I mean, you could literally do nothing else but have a really cool social media profile and things will happen,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. You know, it's I always talk about how I wish I would have had social media when I was in high school, like band wise,
Mm-hmm.
like the damage I would have did on social media. Well, then there's the flip side where I'm glad there wasn't social media when I was in high school because God knows what would be on there right now. But from a band standpoint, I mean, forget it. Back then, it was literally flyers and handing them out and hoping people would remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no reminders. You know, you go on your social media nowadays and the event pops up. Oh, you have an event today. Like, there was none of that going on back then. It was like, oh, I found this flyer. Oh, that show's today. Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so.
Even like transitioning into kind of like the advertising portion. So like that, even today we have Eventbrite, or where you can buy online tickets. You can do all this stuff where before you were just at the mercy of whoever showed up at the door.
Right.
You know, and now we can even have an event and show interest into something. So say like if 1,000 people show interest and only 200 show up, okay, so is there a lack in marketing or advertising, or are they excited about this? It's just not the right event. So you can start to really like dissect that. And so like in your experience with like FXV, what were some marketing techniques, going back to marketing quick, that you used to get your name out there when you first started?
Networking. You know, networking is a form of marketing. You're marketing yourself. You're getting out there and just saying, hey, I'm here. I exist. This is what I'm trying to do with my business. But along with the networking, a lot of it, honestly, is being unique, you know, being different, you know, because even in a networking setting, you walk in there and you're amongst, let's just say 30 people, and you get up and you go, hi, my name is Freddie Vasquez from FXV Digital Design. We do marketing. It's like, dude, nobody gives a shit. Okay, because you're just standing up there, you're monotone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would do this thing. I started doing it at PAC, this little networking group that's out here. I literally got up one day, and don't tell me where it came from. I have no idea. I literally just got up and said, good morning, PAC. How's everybody doing? And I was yelling, and everybody was like, okay, what the fuck, right? They're like, what's with this dude? But then I did it every week. I stayed consistent. I didn't go away from what I was trying to do. After that, it became a point to where people looked forward to me saying that. And when I said it, how's everybody doing? Everybody was like, yeah. So it was different, right? Because you're standing up in this room
so funny.
of 30 people, and they're all just standing up doing their thing, which is, it's not saying there's anything wrong with it, you know, but how was I going to, you know, bust through? How was I going to be just not part of the noise that's out there? You know, I didn't want to be part of the static. So I was like, what can I do to be different? Number one. Number two, I dress different. You know, and I don't look like a bum. I always tell that to my kids, just don't look like a bum, you know, but be all right. First time I went to a networking meeting, I had a tie on, a button down, and khakis. Ugh.
Who were you lying to?
Was that?
Who were you trying to like lie to?
Right. It's like, who the hell are you, bro? You know, so being yourself. But again, that's being unique. So for us, we were like, okay, well, how are we going to be different, right? So then I started taking those two examples about, okay, I dress different so people notice the guy that doesn't look like everybody else. And then who's this freaking guy yelling in the middle of a room during a networking meeting? You know, so now you have their attention. So now from that point forward, you always got to be unique. So I would do things like give away cool stuff. Like I started giving away T-shirts. Now, everybody's giving away T-shirts, but when you go to a networking setting and stuff, you might get one T-shirt given away. I was like, no, I actually sat there and created T-shirts to give to everybody. You know, I did stuff like that. I created Christmas ornaments, you know, last year. I created more for this year. They should be in the mail soon. I did things like, you know, grand opening. You know, I had like a lot of local businesses come in. I had, you know, giveaways because I worked with other businesses. It's just the way to market yourself. Sure, some of that stuff costs me money, but what you get out of it in the long run is it's just longevity. And you just get like all these people just remember what this guy did and what he pushed out there and how he acts, and your reputation starts to build. So that's That's the thing you have to do is utilize marketing in your favor to get the word out, but be different and unique. Just buying a t-shirt and giving it out, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, but my t-shirt says, let's create something awesome today, right in the front. Who doesn't want to wear that? You know, because people just want to show people that's what you should be doing today. You know, so, and then, you know, even having glasses, like look at you know, bench warmers. Like, this is a great thing he does here. He sells these mugs, which are really awesome, by the way, at Benchwarmers. You should check it out. But he gives you a percentage off every time you use this to get your coffee. You know, so he's I think it's like 10%, maybe something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't want to get Moose in trouble. But check it out there. But and it's advertising, and it's a cool cup.
Yeah.
So he sat there, purchased this for a certain price point, sells it at a greater price point. I'm just assuming, brands it with his logo, but it's not a piece of crap.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Like, if you're gonna sit there and buy something to promote your business, don't get a piece of shit. Please don't do that. Spend the money.
Right.
Spend the money, man. And I learned that with t-shirts. The first run of t-shirts I did, and there was a TikTok on this. Some guy was like, let me guess, you're starting a t-shirt company and you're using Gildan. And I'm like, well, yeah, I did that. And that didn't turn out too well.
Right.
You know, but when I went ahead and got the Bella canvas for my next run, everybody wanted one because it feels nice. And like, for me, I never liked those shirts because I'm a big dude. And if you're a big person wearing one of those Bella canvas shirts, it's like a nylon. It just sticks to you and just shows the rolls. The bakery's open for business, baby. You know what I mean?
God.
So you gotta like relax with that. But the cotton shirts allow you to do the stretchies. Anyway, that's why I never did that. But see, that was the thing I did wrong, was I thought about what I liked. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to think about what the people like. Again, here it is. Profile your target market, identify your unique selling proposition, like all these tips that we were talking about. Find out what the people like. Don't ever get caught in the whole, well, this is what I like, so that's what I'm going to do. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. That's like me putting out a T-shirt for the Mets in this area. Yeah, because it's a good use of money. It's stupid.
Right.
I would do something with the Phillies. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I'm having a hard time understanding this advice because, like, let's say for TikTok, if I wanted to gain followers on there, it's like, why would I understand that I should be following the trends, but also I want to brand myself. So, like, how do I set myself aside from everyone else if, like, we're all using the same marketing strategy, essentially, trying to get more followers and more eyes on our brand, which is essentially, like, yourself on TikTok.
Well, like, on TikTok, I feel like the biggest reason people go viral is because they're doing something that, or using, like, say, a sound that someone, like, millions of people are using, but they're doing it in a different way. So, like, you have a plot twist. Like, you think it's going to go this one way, and then bam, like, they do something completely different. They try to, like, think outside of the box of what the words are actually saying to kind of give that, like, creative twist. And I think that it's, like, yeah, I feel like what I was writing down when you were just talking about the idea of being unique is really hard, because we say, oh, we want to be unique, but then everything we do is copying someone else. Like,
nothing's original anymore.
Nothing. And it's not a bad thing. Like, we're human, and that's what we do. We just like kind of go with the flow. Right. Because it's less scary. We already see someone else excelling at it. So we just kind of like, oh, let me just, like, kind of tweak what they're doing. But no, that's when you start to become part of, like, the crowd, and you're not one that sticks out anymore, because you're even on Instagram. This is big. Like, there's, like, very trending styles of, like, editing, right? So you had the light and bright, light and airy, that went, like, viral because everyone started to like that. Now it's a lot of, like, muted, smoky, and like warm coloring. That's kind of starting to be more like vintage looking. So people are going that style. And you can even, as a photographer, get lost by trying to do your own thing, and yet you're getting lost in the sauce because it looks like everybody else's photos.
Right.
So I think that's, like, for like me, I think it's, like, it's scary, but really writing out a list of, like, okay, who am I as a person? Why do I think my friends like me? Why do I think that people like to be around me? and what do I do, say, act, or whatever, or dress like that attracts them to me. And like that was like one of the points I had written down, is that so you come up with a brand, you can understand your target market, and then you have to figure out how to attract people to yourself. And the biggest one is like positioning yourself as the answer. So realizing, okay, I'm a photographer that could get lost amongst everybody else. So how am I the answer to someone that's looking for a photographer? And for me right now, I'm realizing that like I want to be a timeless photographer where there is not like a trended style to what I do. It's bright and it's very like realistic looking. And then I can't copy my friend who does like TikTok dances and like all the cute little things, because that's her personality.
Mm-hmm.
So then how can I add value to my people, or, you know, in the way that I am? So I think that's really honestly like the biggest thing, is like just sticking firm to really who you are and actually writing it out, because you can be in your head and you're like, oh, I think I'm this way, or I'm outgoing, or I'm funny, or ask your friends, like, why do you think I'm a cool person, or why do you like me, or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like for you, it's like your style, you know, like you're not afraid to say anything. So
that's for good or for worse.
Yeah. But it makes up who you are. So I feel like really targeting that in your like marketing yourself, you know, whatever you get into. So
I would say consistency also.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge one.
And trying new things. Because let's bring it back to the ocean spray guy.
Yep.
Dogface.
Dude, his story is amazing.
I love him.
But literally the dude, his car broke down.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he jumped on his longboard, right? And I'm going to work. And he had some ocean spray because he just liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was vibing the fucking Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. Which, even though it sounds cliche, like, no, whatever. I used to listen to that jam all the time when I was younger. I loved Fleetwood Mac. I seen them twice in concert. That was a great song. I always loved that song. So for me, I loved it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see this dude who was just consistent because of Gary Vee. He actually brought it up and was like, Gary Vee always said, just keep putting content out, keep putting content out, keep putting content out. So that's, for me, that's an answer to you, Ange, is constantly put out content. Try different things. I guarantee you, if you ask anybody that's went viral, they probably did 100 million other videos that did shit.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee it. But the one hit, and boom, now you're talking to a guy. Dogface was chilling with Snoop Dogg the other day. I'm like, dude.
I was following him when he had 20,000 followers. Now he's pushing over like 7 million on TikTok.
But it's crazy. I was like, I would love to chill with Snoop Dogg.
Right.
And all he did was just like go down a longboard and just drink his ocean spray and just chill. That's all he did.
And he lived in a trailer park.
Yeah.
With his mom and his 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's in California.
But he was being himself, being unique, and he consistently put out content.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have patience.
Yeah.
If you don't have patience, do something else.
Well, because like even like we were talking last night, so I, like you said, I put up together like a social media report showing like the difference between the month I wasn't here to then like the last 30 days of our social medias accounts. And even for me, like, because I hadn't honestly looked at it, like I wasn't sure what it was gonna look like, you know. And because it's not like you're going viral like that even like for me or whoever, it can look like a slow process, like, oh, I think I just lost a few, or I think I just gained a few. Like, how big or difference can it really be? But when you take it out and you start looking at the graphs and the analytics of things, like, it was really cool just to be able to see that we have had growth. And like that was like reassurance, because then you're like, okay, now I see what did really well, and how can I change it for next week, and then track it for next month, and we'll just continue to do that. And I think that's something that even for myself I had to learn of, is trying different things and being okay with it, you know, like from the stuff I was starting to do when we first started together till now. Like there's been a lot of progression, or just like difference in what we're doing, and which is good. And then we also know where we want to be and what we want it to look like, and so now we have an idea of being able to like, okay, now we're just going to keep evolving, you know, because then you're also always going to be attracting different kinds of people with those things.
Yeah, and it's been 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. We got 2 months to gain a certain amount of followers or a certain amount of exposure, and now we see trends forming. You know, so that's the whole thing with marketing. It's just patience. You know, and keeping up with it. But you know, there's a part 2 to this conversation, and it's advertising. You know, and advertising is marketing with money behind it. And 3 ways you guys can definitely do this today, right out of the gate, is you have your Google AdWords. I tell clients all the time, listen, if you don't want to wait for organic, you know, search engine results, Google AdWords. You can put money and be up on the first page literally within minutes at this point. You'll be on the first page of any search that you want to pay for.
Right.
Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, social media advertising, same idea. You know, just put some money behind it. You're up as soon as they approve your ad. You know, and obviously there's also, you know, SEO, which is a little different from those two, because SEO, that's more about like investing in a company to do it for you as opposed to doing it yourself. Because if you did it yourself, it's back to marketing. But those are 3 things that are, you know, very important. For me, the SEO is really important. If you hire somebody to do it for you, just you have to have even super patience at that point. It takes 12 to 18 months essentially.
Oh, wow.
For real SEO to work on your website. That's a hurdle that a lot of my clients don't like to deal with, but when they have the patience to do it, it works out really, really well. I mean, because you're building a foundation for your future. You know, if you have the time and patience to build that foundation now, no matter what happens in the future with algorithms and all those crazy things, you'll always come up on the first page, and that's what you always want. The Google advertising and the social media advertising, there's actually 2 ways to think about it. Google advertising is for people who know what they want. Social media advertising is for people that don't know what they want. Okay, so how that works is when you're on Google and you're typing up, let's just say, tow truck, you know, like my car's broke down, need a tow truck. Boom, the ads come up for those first 3 spots, right? You got your local tow truck companies out there. You click the first one or whatever you want. Bam, I was looking for a tow truck because my car broke down. Now I'm on Facebook later that day, flicking through, and I see like, you know, oh, there's a pet sitting business. Okay. And you're flicking through. Oh, there's a T-shirt. Okay. Flicking through. Like, oh, there's, you know, whatever, another T-shirt. But the Facebook advertising keeps running. And you see that pet sitter ad again. Then a pet sitter ad again. And then you're like, whatever. 2 months go by. And, you know, you're with your wife at home. And she gets a dog. And you're like, but we have that vacation booked, whatever. Then you're like, well, what are we going to do about the dog? Who can watch our dog? Oh, wait, I saw that ad on Facebook a few months ago. I wonder if that person still exists. And that's how that works. You know, the social media advertising is just dropping those hints at you every day to let you know, like, when the time comes that you need it, you'll call us. So, again, Google is for people who know what they need right away. Social media is for people that don't know they need it yet.
With social media, which is the best one to put out your ads on? Like Facebook, Snapchat? What's the best platform to push advertising that you want to pay for?
I still think Facebook's the best one.
I think Facebook.
As far as advertising goes. Depending on what you're trying to sell exactly, sure. I mean, I'm sure there's conversations about that, but I mean, Facebook's still the leader, you know, no matter how you put it.
Have you looked at analytics for like Instagram ads? Have you ever seen if they actually do work? Or
I mean, I've run some. I didn't get nearly as much like return on it than I did on Facebook. Mainly because I feel like Instagram, you're still able to put like a range, you know what I mean, like your area, that kind of thing. But I still think it's much more narrowed down for Facebook. And then the fact that you can put a lot of categories in like what you're even trying to sell or whatever. And so like you can cross members. So like if I'm a detailing company, I can target like this kind of company or person, and then I also can do like families or whatever it is.
Nice.
So I've like across the board with all the ads I've done for Facebook, I have seen a higher return for a local business. Because if you think about it, a lot of the ads that you're seeing on Instagram are for virtual business, like Beachbody coaches, courses that people are offering for anything, photography or whatever, marketing. Like there are reasons why they're targeting the mass as like the world, where at Facebook you're really only targeting your friends, family, and like local area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it also depends on your interest, obviously, too, because you're only going to see the ads that even make sense to you in general. And don't forget, Instagram is owned by Facebook.
Yep.
So Instagram does have a little bit more information that it leads on, but it's also just depends on you. Like for me, I'm on Facebook all the time, so I'm going to see all those the ads on there. Some other people, it's Instagram. Some other people, it's whatever social network they're on, you know.
So that goes back to like your target market, you know, like trying to figure out what generation you're working with and where they spend most of their time.
Correct.
So,
Definitely.
yeah, I think that's a big one. Like for people that are targeting kids that are under 20, I would probably be on TikTok and be doing that business like thing that they're doing.
Yeah. And people that are over 65, 70, you should be honestly putting ads in the newspaper.
Yeah.
You know, that's still a thing. Like that's like my parents are over 60. Don't get me wrong, they use social media and stuff, but I learned that by working with a client that they were trying to do like, you know, Medicare planning or whatever, you know, planning it was, estate planning and stuff. And we did massive amounts of Facebook ads. We did try to reach the 60 plus demographic. It wasn't that successful. Do the newspaper, forget about it. Phone calls, because they still get the paper every day. It's part of their routine. They grab the paper in the morning. They read it all. They'll actually read the whole thing. I mean, I was at the Berkshire, you know, the restaurant up in State Hill over the weekend. I saw this older couple walk in with the newspaper, and they were having breakfast with each other, but they both had their own section of the newspaper, going through the whole thing, reading it. And I'm like, yeah, you just get so, you know, used to your, you know, what you do. It doesn't change. Now, obviously in the future that won't be the case anymore, you know, but identifying your target market and where are they and how can you reach them, you know, and that's what you really have to do that research, especially in advertising, because you're spending money now.
Yeah.
Like marketing, I'm not saying time isn't worth anything, but when you spend time and then throw some cash behind it, you better know what you're doing, because it hurts a lot more when that doesn't work out.
Right. Because like even for me with photography, I really want to start to narrow down like who is my target audience because of the rates that I'm trying to shoot for. So because we talked about it last time about not wanting to be seen as a cheap photographer, but also not trying to be luxury or fine art. So like, where is that happy medium for the people that I would target? So my target market is becoming more like people that are being like getting engaged, families, young families, because that's when like I will have a repetitive customer, because they're getting engaged, then they're going to want maternity photos, then they're getting wedding photos, then they're going to want family photos after that, versus a senior portrait where I'm not probably going to get, if they go to college, I might never see them again, maybe, you never know. But then I have an idea of like these people might stay around this area a lot longer. So that's who I want to target. I've even had to like, think about that, because you just think, oh, I could do every kind of photography or focus on anybody because I need money, or I want to like be able to offer it to everybody. But yeah, I think that's why people just do headshots, or they just do this kind of photography or niche.
Right, which is what I wanted to do. At one point, I was toying with just being a web design company. And I was like, oh, do I really want to do all this stuff? Like, I mean, do I want to make myself crazy by doing social media and doing like videos and whatever the hell else I have to do as a marketing agency? And there's something to be said about working on what you're best at. So that's another thing to even ponder, you know, while you're thinking about your marketing, your advertising. Are you doing exactly what you want to do? Or are you offering too many services that's actually hurting you?
Yeah.
Which that happens a lot, man. Because, like, I mean, I love what I do. I love marketing. I love that it's opened doors for me in so many ways that I could talk to a lot of people, which is why I think I still offer everything, or I'll find people to help me do those services because I just want to have those relationships with people. But there's something to be said about making a really good taco, and I used to say that back in the day, like you can sit there and have a taco shop that offers burritos, enchiladas, and all kinds of crazy Mexican food, or you can just make one really good taco. But man, if you make the best taco in town, people will always come back and get it.
Right.
You don't have to offer anything else. You can just be like, yo, I make tacos, but I make the best dang tacos in town. And they'll always come back. It's guaranteed. So that's something for you to ponder out there too. You don't need to be the best at everything. Be the best at one thing.
Shout out Eric at Kamali.
Yeah.
Best
Shout
tacos.
But he's good at a few things though. But his tacos are the shit though. I like his quesadillas and everything, but I rarely get anything else. Not that it's not good, but
the burrito bowls are pretty good.
those are good. But you just want a taco.
Yeah.
And like, dang. Dame dos jefes, por favor. Two hefes.
Do you want to, while we close out, I'll go over the last the points, and then I want you to just give a little blurb about the awesome toy drive that we have just launched.
Yes.
So, again, guys, just kind of bringing it back to the 3 pointers. For marketing, remember that you are just getting your word about your service or your product to the people that you're targeting. To make sure you're doing specific niches or just trying to find your target market so you know how they want to be receiving the info that you have for them. And then the difference with advertising is that you're doing the same things but with different platforms. So using like Google ads, Word ads, Facebook ads, and that kind of stuff. So you're using money now to push your product onto the customers as well. And then also you want to maybe get involved with doing more SEO or having someone do that for you, just so that, again, the ads and your website will come up first, allowing you to get more clients. So take it away.
Yes. So there you go. There's your difference between advertising and marketing. Hopefully you guys learned something today. Now it is coming up on the holiday season. And for those of you that don't know, last year was a great year for me and FXV. And I wanted to give back to the community because the universe gave me so much. So I said, you know what? I'm going to collect 20 gifts for underprivileged children here in my area. And I made a little tree, had these little cutout ornaments from Michael's, put some names on them. I was helping out the local foster organization Concern. And within hours, they were all gone. And I was like, hey, okay, let me call up Concern. Hey, you guys got 20 more names? They're like, yeah. So I got 20 more names. And then those were gone in another day and a half. And then I asked for 20 more. And then we just kept doing that until we reached 150, which is where we got cut off. And we were able to collect for 150 kids last year, which is amazing. Even Mark Goldstein from Blankets of Hope, he saw what I was doing. He called me up and said, hey, man, do you think you guys could use some blankets? And he has a great organization. Please Google that, Blankets of Hope, right here in Berks County, Reading, PA. Check it out. And so not only were we able to give these kids a gift each, we were able to give them a brand new blanket. And the one thing I noticed last year was these kids aren't asking for anything astronomical. And I think if you're in the area, you should do yourself a favor and come down to the office and take a look at these wants or these wishes from these kids. Some of them just want undershirts, or they want deodorant, or they want toiletry bags or backpacks. And the reason being is that they're sick of being moved from place to place and putting their stuff in a trash bag, which is sad, man. So when you see stuff like that, you first of all makes you appreciate everything you have. On your worst day, that would be probably their best day.
Right.
So think about that next time you're complaining about some dumb shit. All right? Because I've done it myself. All right? With that being said, it was very awesome to see the outpouring of support that I received from local people, even my family out in Long Island. That includes my friends. Those guys are great. Now, come 2020, I was, you know, asked by certain people, I'd be doing this again. What's going on with the angel tree? And I was like, of course. I was then approached by a local magazine, and they said, hey, man, we want to do a full page article on what you're doing. And I was like, great. And the first thought I had was, if more people see this, we could probably get more gifts for these kids. And then, of course, I went into overdrive. And I was like, well, what can I do? You know, what can I do to make this even better? So we gave it a name. It's called the Awesome Toy Drive because I'm so original. But I love it. So it's called the Awesome Toy Drive. And my goal was to double last year's number. So I was like, well, last year we did 150. This year we're doing 300. But I got approached by Berks County Living, which is amazing. And I said, well, now we're going to go to 500. All right. So now I sat there and went, well, I have 500 toys I got to get. How am I doing this? And then I was like, what if I talk to local business owners about putting trees inside their place? Right? And then I started making a list of people that might be into it, and I started asking. And even that was great. Support started coming out. We have, not including my office, 8 trees out there.
Nice.
With ornaments on them. So big shout out to Eric at Komali Taqueria. We have Moose or Adam at Benchwarmers Coffee. Sarah and the staff at Alliance Fitness Center. We have Dr. Jason and Dr. Sarah at Core Health Chiropractic. Dave Mattis reached out to me on Sunday. He's like, hey, man, we could use a tree in here. So now Dave Mattis at Remax or Reading, we got a tree in there. Tina Flood from Tina's Therapeutic Massage put one in her office yesterday. Then yesterday, while I'm doing all this, 2 more people called and said, hey, can we get one of these trees? So we have Diane over at Riverview Gardens and Gifts and Styles on the Avenue. Tina hooked me up with them. I'll be calling them today. So
Nice.
I bought 8 trees thinking that was a lot, and I would save them for next year.
Right.
Gone.
So I might get 3 or 4 out. I could probably buy more
Yep.
and
That's
get
so
more
good.
trees out there right now. So that's amazing.
That's
So
awesome.
the goal is 500. If you're out there and you're listening and you're close to me, take a visit. Go to awesometoydrive.com. It's up there. It shows you all the locations you can go to. It shows you that we're not only collecting for Concern this year, but we're collecting for Bethany Children's Home and the Olivet Boys and Girls Club. On top of that, because we thought we were getting pretty light on names, we're now going to collect for Children's Home of Reading. So we have 4 organizations we're working with this year. So that's awesome. We actually just donated $200 worth of gift cards to Children's Home of Reading. FXV Digital did, because
Awesome.
every kid counts. So we got them something. But now we're going to get names. Now we're going to add them to the list. So go to awesometoydrive.com. Check it out. This is just us trying to do good in the world. The goal is 500. Again, to finish my thought, if you're in the area, please come down. Check out my trees. Go to any of the other locations. Check out their trees. If you're not close, feel free to Venmo me. The Venmo is at FXV Digital. We've already collected, let's see, shout out to Katrina Trotta. She already donated. Shout out to my cousin Diana. She already donated. Shout out to Dennis Hansen. Dennis Hansen gave me more than a normal person, as I'll put it. He made a pretty beautiful donation. Thank you, Dennis, for that. You're the man. And Dennis was actually one of the cooler stories from last year, too, where he donated a couple bucks for these kids. He Venmo'd me. And then like a few nights or days later, he's like, hey, man, you're still collecting for those kids? I'm like, yeah, for like a few more days. He sent me more money. And I was like, oh, shit, thanks, dude. He's like, yeah, I pulled an overtime shift tonight.
Oh,
So I just went ahead and did that for them, and the
Wow.
money goes to the kids. And I was like, this guy.
That's so
You know.
wholesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So like people want to give. I think the issue is that sometimes they don't know how to give
Yeah.
or don't have the outlets. So we're
Mhm.
creating that outlet. So even if you can't give, right, if you can't be here, if you can't afford it, it's cool, man. I understand it's been a crazy year.
Mhm.
Share it. Just share it on social media.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Because you might be sending it to somebody that can't afford it and had no idea what to do, and they take advantage of it and they donate. So
It's another
sharing
great
is caring.
marketing strategy.
Yeah, it's so
Just
true.
sharing posts.
Just sharing posts
Yeah,
is
just
huge.
share it.
Yeah. Side note: if you ever don't ever expect people to share your stuff. Ask them to do it because they don't give two shits. But when you ask them, they do it. And I even forget that myself sometimes. But I said on LinkedIn, I was like, hey, this is what we're doing. Please share it if you can. I got shares. Like people, you just have to ask.
It's only a button.
That's it. It's only a button. So that's what we're doing. Please, if you find it in the goodness of your heart, help us out to help these kids. If not, share. And if you don't have to even do this, it's the holiday season. There's a bunch of people that need help.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can. Help people that you see out in your neighborhood. My parents are very big givers. I was telling somebody a story today about how, like, when I was like 6 or 7, we were in New York City, and my father was giving money to a homeless person, and he came up to me afterwards, and he was like, you always remember this. This is what we should be doing for people, and I'll never forget that. And my mom is also a big giver too. She'll help anybody, to where I used to have a friend in elementary school who didn't have lunch every day. My mom would make me 2 lunches, and one would be for me and one would be for him.
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah, Nana did that.
That is so cute.
Dead serious, yeah.
Oh my God.
So they always did good things for people.
Yeah.
And that's where I get it from. And even my grandmother has a toy drive of sorts in Ecuador.
Yeah, she's constantly making
Every
food
year.
for people and all that.
She actually has all these poor kids that come in. She gives them each a ticket. She has to do a ticketing system now because there's so many poor kids in Ecuador. But they come and get a gift, and she gives them food. So I'm hoping one year I can go down there to see it.
Yeah,
It'd be very
that'd be
cool
great.
to like be into it. And hey, who knows, man? That might be another thing I do where I just start collecting money for Ecuador, and we just send the money down there.
Very
So,
cool.
but be giving.
Yeah.
Be thankful for what you have. Don't worry about what's going on outside anymore. It's all a bunch
Right.
of bullshit. All right. Worry about yourself. Worry about what's going on in your home, in your business, whatever it is. Don't let the outside world affect the way you are.
Speaking about worrying about your own businesses, I'm just personally curious, like, what's going on behind the scenes in your photography business? What's going on behind the scenes in FXV besides, the awesome toy drive stuff? And then I'll put in my little note of what I'm doing with filming.
Yeah. So
What's going on?
Well, I just booked another engagement session.
Awesome.
That was awesome. I got to FaceTime the couple last night, talk about the location we were going to get at, and it was really nice. Like, she already came prepared with, like, all these questions.
That's
so, like,
cool.
that was, like, just a lot easier, and they actually know what they want. They try to figure out what to do, and it's their first time ever getting, like, photos done. So I always like to try to meet with them or do a FaceTime so I can see, like, even their chemistry with each other.
Right.
Whether or not it's going to be something I'm pulling out of them or it's, like, just natural. And they're very naturally, like, just fun and goofy. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And I have a shoot this weekend for a 1-year-old, and then I have the wedding. So.
And the 1-year-old is the one with the low lighting, right?
Both the low.
Both lighting?
Yeah. So it'll be fun. Oh, and then I have one on the first too for a Christmas one. So
I wish you the best of luck for the low lighting ones.
Thanks.
I
I
think it'll
know.
come out really great. I'm excited to see the pictures that
I'm probably just gonna rent like a
post.
full frame camera,
Yeah.
like a Mark D or something.
It's
'Cause
cool.
it's actually not that expensive to rent. So
I never knew that you could rent cameras until you said something. I think that's so cool.
yeah, just so I know that I have it all together. I don't feel too stressed. So,
Wow.
but yeah,
awesome.
lots of stuff in the next month.
That's so cool. Awesome.
I'm just collecting toys. I'm collecting toys. I got to get the lights done at the house. Facebook, the Rosewood Christmas house. Check it out. That's my house because I'm crazy about Christmas. But as far as
Same.
FXV, we're getting ready for another year, man. I think the end of the year, we always try to, get ready for 2021 or get ready for the new year. And me and Whitley, we were doing some crazy brainstorming last night on how we want to, like, put out different things and how we want to be unique. And it's easier said than done. But I think, if I had to say what's going on behind the scenes in FXV, it's how to be unique, how to be even more unique, and how to, how do you put it? How to be just.
Is it deepening your niche or is it just being more unique?
like for what we're trying to go towards is mainly just, okay, we have like a website launch.
Right.
So what are we doing right now that's attracting people to that launch? And there's not much. There's like maybe a graphic or something like that. And so we're just like, okay, so how can we add value to even showcase the launches even more? So that's what
it's
we're
an
kind of
interesting thought.
Yeah, so that's what we're kind of going into now. It's like, all right, what 3 things can we add to a launch to make it more exciting?
So that's being, but it's again being unique. And you know, I get the niche thing.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about niches last night too. So I think it's more about narrowing what we're trying to hit business wise. So it's definitely streamlining the business.
Yeah,
I think would be what we're trying to do. So
yeah,
that's FXV. But what's going on in your neck of the woods?
What are you doing
With
videography?
me, so I started an Instagram a couple weeks back called Camille and Child Co. so I could have my brand name and things like that. And I was originally going to put out clothes that I could upsell on there to make a quick buck, but that ended up not ever happening. So I have a couple of films or just short videos that I'm like proud of, and I just want to like put them up there just like to I guess like vlog, but not really a vlog. They're just kind of like, I have like a really cute video of Dennis, my nephew, that's just like playing with his mom, and it's just like really cute, and I just want to put it up because it's a really great piece of like work.
Yeah.
And I just want to put it up, and then hopefully just grab some traction that way, have people start forming a relationship with me just via that Instagram. So I'm hoping I can do that. I think I'm just making excuses right now for myself to not actually start posting.
Well, you can do that. I know you can. I've seen your work, and
Yeah.
it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
just got to put it out. If you don't put it out, nothing will ever happen.
Exactly.
I know, my boyfriend keeps doing that to me. I like post something random. He's like, post your photography. And
I
he's
love
like,
seeing your work, honestly, on Instagram.
thanks.
It's really
Good
great.
stuff.
It's really
good
great.
stuff.
Thanks. I appreciate it. But guys, we will wrap up today. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a great conversation, even just for us to kind of remember these things. And don't forget about the toy drive. I'll be posting up a whole link of where you can go, where locations we have, the website, all that fun stuff. And we will be touching base next week.
I really got to go to the potty. Sorry.
Let's create something awesome today, folks.
Let's
See ya
create something
later.
awesome today.
Bye, guys.